I've owned property since I was 26. I've owned a lot of investment property, and I've been around real estate in one form or another since, for really 22 plus years. And and a lot of people put effort in the wrong spot.
Hi, my name is Cindy Pratt, and I am the proud owner of MaidPro League City Pearland, your go-to professional home cleaning service. We bring comfort and clean to homes from Kemah to Manville and everywhere in between. If you'd like to learn more, please check us out online at maidpro.com/League City, or you can give us a call at 281-557-6430. We'd love to make your home shine this year. And today we have Mr. Christopher Michael here with Christopher Michael Properties or Century 21 Tevas. So welcome to the podcast today, Chris.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Thank you. So what some of y'all may not know is that Christopher is a realtor. So tell me what got you into the business.
So I have been investing in real estate since I was 26 years old, and I worked in the public sector for a long time, and then I decided to take my passion and really help others out in that passion. So I started a consulting firm to help development and folks in real estate, whether it be residential like flips or investing into multifamily or whatnot. And then eventually I got my real estate license so that I could actually do transactions. And so I did that about a year ago. And so it's been a pretty good year on both the consulting and the transaction side. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and you also specifically, I think you mentioned to me that you focus primarily on the side that marries up your public admin background along with your commercial real estate knowledge and expertise. Is that right?
Yeah, I do like the commercial, and I also like investment. But I do work with some folks that may be a little challenged to get into a home, or some of my clients that I work with on the commercial side or the investment side. They also obviously have a primary home,
Yeah.
and I will sell and buy their home. So, um, there are some designations within real estate, but reality is a licensed realtor is a licensed realtor. So there is no license for commercial or anything like that. It's just there's some designations as with any profession. So any real estate that kind of comes my way, I kind of look at it and say, yeah, I can help you or I can't help you. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I know, especially from a home buying perspective, but even if you're a buyer of commercial real estate, sometimes there's a lot of emotions and feelings attached to purchasing or selling a home. How do you, I guess you could say, how would you characterize your expertise in coping with that?
So I think the number one, whether you're buying commercial or investment or even your a primary home, anxiety is the number one feeling. There are some different emotions, and when you get down to looking at just kind of managing that anxiety, there is a lot of things to do for if you're getting a home ready to sell,
Hmm.
in terms of prep, and then but then from even commercial, once you do a build out and you're getting ready to open your business, or a lot of times even if you buy or lease a commercial space, it hasn't been occupied for quite some time, and so there's a lot of things that need to be done to refresh
Oh,
those
yeah, for
spaces.
sure.
So from that perspective, I always try to advise people that there's a lot of things that you can do to kind of improve the overall look of the real estate that you're wanting to move, but you also don't. I know I very much disencourage people from putting new paint and doing different things, because a lot of times that is that's subjective.
Yeah.
And so while fresh paint may sound like a great idea, it's a lot of expense that's just going to be painted over again.
Yeah.
And so a fresh cleaning of a wall is a lot easier than fresh paint.
One of the most
And
exciting things about buying a home is adding your own touches, right?
correct,
So leaving it open, like a blank slate, so to speak, for a new home buyer is going to help them be even more comfortable in their new home.
correct.
So just having, I mean, you've partnered with us
Yes, I have.
and we've done a move out clean. But when a person comes into the home, what are some of the things that they're looking for? I mean, is it important to have the home professionally cleaned?
Yeah, I think having a home cleaned and really so so first and foremost, I would say a clean home is the first thing you should do, because once somebody sees something that starts that critical eye, the critical eye just continues to get critical.
Sure.
And so every little issue becomes sort of exacerbated that takes your property off the market
Yeah.
or out of their market.
Yeah.
So whether that's commercial or investment or a primary residential
Right.
purchase. So I think having a clean home is important, and elbow grease is a lot easier to do than maybe painting or rehabbing something, because again, that whoever comes in after you is probably just going to redo what you just did.
Sure. Sure.
So yeah, so I think a good clean is much better than trying to actually go to Home Depot and do a bunch of DIY, because immediately when you start seeing DIY and you start seeing mistakes in the DIY,
Sure.
then it's just going to add, question after question after question. So I always say
I know.
leave it to the professionals.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And one of the, I think from what I know, and in speaking with you and other real estate professionals, is that the first thing that a homeowner notices is the state of cleanliness of the home.
For sure.
Because whatever the home level of clean is, that sort of sets the tone for the care of the home. It also implies, how well they've taken care of, plumbing issues or repairs electrically or other things that have come up in the home. So if they're keeping a clean home, then you can hopefully make some assumptions about, well, they've probably taken care of the other things properly as well.
Yeah.
Is that a true
Absolutely. So,
assumption?
so when you think of the number one most utilized room in a home is the kitchen.
Yes.
Period. And so when folks are looking to acquire a home, they're looking at the functionality and the movability around a kitchen. And but conversely is and really the way homes are built today, not everything is duct outside. So a lot of the homes have recirculation in terms of their venting from the stove. Well, all of that grease and grime is really just repurposed throughout the kitchen.
Redistributed.
Absolutely. And where it likes to hang out the most is on baseboards.
Oh, absolutely.
And so immediately you start seeing dirty baseboards, and then you start seeing grimy floors, and
Yeah,
then the next thing you know, it's you just have 10,000 questions. So a good clean kitchen goes a long ways.
absolutely.
um, and then the other thing is when you look at like pets and pet odors, and I know everybody loves their dog and
Oh, I know.
everybody loves their cat, and I get it, and they should. However, that being said, there is when you get into transitioning from one home to another. So,
Sure.
I just did a buy sell.
Oh, yeah. Tell me
I
about that.
just did a buy sell, right? And they have a dog's named Wallace. And they moved into, and it was these are all very expensive, very nice homes. But Wallace has left his home, and now he's in a new home. Well, so was a prior animal. And so now Wallace, that has never had potty issues, seems to
Is
have
suddenly
lots.
trying to
Somehow wants to tell everybody this is
mark his
his home.
territory.
It's
Yeah.
his home.
Yeah.
It's his home now. And so I've kind of laughed about some of the stories because
Yeah.
people don't realize a good deep clean could prevent some of those future
Those
accidents.
needs of your pet from having that
Correct.
intentional desire to rub himself or have
Right.
an accident. Yeah.
Correct.
For sure. And homeowners don't smell it either because we become immune to
Mm-hmm.
some of the odors, right?
100%.
So it's really important to have the house freshly cleaned before you get ready to put it on the market and take your photos, because everything will sparkle in the
Absolutely.
photos, even though, I guess CGI or something like that could add the sparkle. But what is the difference between staging and, having a deep clean? Is there a difference?
Well, I think, they always say on the staging, especially on the residential side, that, depersonalize everything. Well, but, and I would articulate that cleaning also helps depersonalize part of your world, so that you kind of just make it where it is everything, the whole concept is neutralized. And so when you stage and you've got your furniture and you take out, some of the flower, some of the different things that really are yours that someone might be critical. But along with that, you definitely should do an absolute, cleaning. So, in the particular property, the larger property up north, they actually have a housekeeper.
Yeah.
But the housekeeper and the stager was working hand in hand with each other to clean up, because when you start moving that furniture, all of the things that have the dirt and grime that has accumulated behind that now
Sure.
has to be dealt with. And
Yeah.
so I think there's definitely good synergies between having a cleaning service and a staging crew at the same time, kind of going
Absolutely.
through.
Yeah.
And so,
Or even decluttering. I mean, there
100%.
sometimes organizational, staging, cleaning go hand in hand as you prepare the home. It depends on, of course, the specifics of each homeowner and, personal preferences. One of the questions we like to ask, are you a minimalist? And that answer kind of is different for everybody, and their interpretation of that is different. So when it comes to staging a home or preparing a home, one wants to lean towards being a minimalist. Is that
Right.
right? Because
You're
that makes it very easy to see all of the surface and the condition of the
right.
surfaces, rather than have it hidden by a strategically placed mirror or a picture frame or something like that. You're opening yourself up to allowing the potential home buyer to see the property in a naked sense, I think, in many ways. But have you ever seen a property go from, kind of unsellable to, wow, this is going to go very fast once we get it on the market, just because they've had a good clean, declutter, or proper
Yeah,
staging?
absolutely. All the above, all the above.
Yeah.
There is when it comes to home ownership and when you are selecting your home, you actually make that decision pretty quickly when you walk in. So like if I'm showing a client 4 or 5 homes in a day, I pretty much know within the first 3 or 4 minutes if
Yeah.
this home is of interest to them.
Yeah.
And if it's not, we will end the showing. Like I'm like,
Sure.
well, let's move on to
We're
the next
done.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can get a sense,
Yeah.
and if you are put off when you walk in the door, I mean that's it's over.
And conversely, on the commercial side, because, MaidPro also does a lot of janitorial service and commercial cleaning properties. So when you're either listing a commercial property or showing a commercial property, what are some aspects of that stand out to you?
So from the commercial side, and that really is my sweet spot. I like the
Sure.
commercial, and I love working with folks. But part of when you go into a vacant, because the one difference between the residential side and the commercial is 90% of what you're looking at in commercial is vacant, and conversely, 90% of residential has probably got some level of occupancy.
Yeah, completely
Okay,
different.
and it is completely different from that perspective. And what I would tell you in the commercial side is that potential tenant or owner has to see themselves in that position and in that space. And there's a lot of times when you can see sort of disrepair, whether it be the bathrooms or just like the reception area, and it's in disrepair, or if it's just kind of just got that ick feeling, then they're turned off from the space, even though it might be the perfect space for them.
Yeah,
They can't see past that dirt and grime and those things that just are like,
yeah,
man, So I've got a couple of clients that will say, well, that's just a little elbow grease. But the reality is if you kind of sparkle it up for them, you're gonna the landlord can probably get a little bit more higher rent, and potentially a longer term. But it also is going to give them comfort that they maintain the space, because
sure. How responsive is the
how
tenants and I'm sorry,
and
the
the
landlord,
landlords,
right,
absolutely,
right.
because if again, if it's a dirty, grimy
Yeah,
space, and it's like, well, I'll just wait till somebody comes in.
exactly.
Well, that sort of wait and see, is that how we're going to deal with the HVAC? Is that how we're dealing with the plumbing? Is that how we're going to
Hmm.
deal with the broken
The
sidewalks
lawn,
and the
the
grass
trash.
and trash and all that? So it does give a perception of how much you care about what you're trying to convey, whether it be
Absolutely.
commercial or
Well,
residential.
it shows the landlord's commitment to the property
Correct.
and how engaged they are in managing it. Um, in my opinion, obviously, but I've seen absent landlords, and there's very evident that they're not engaged in trying to lease this, and they're not going to be engaged when they eventually, find someone who wants to come in and take
Right.
over the lease. So I think it's really important that, a 5-year vacant property or something have the toilets
Absolutely.
that are flushable,
Right.
and they're not dry and
But
soiled and so forth.
yeah, well, even on a stool that hasn't been flushed in a while, there's enough. The water table around here is hard enough that you're gonna get a ring no matter what.
Absolutely.
I mean, and so it's little things like that that make it just, there are three things that you can almost guarantee down here in Texas, right? Is hard water,
Absolutely.
uh, bugs somewhere, and
Yeah.
humidity hanging around.
And some mildew, right?
Yeah,
And some
and
old stale
yeah, so
air.
when you start looking at stuff like that, then and again, just cleaning it up
Yeah.
before a showing, or as a part of, it absolutely, things are going to move faster,
Yeah.
and you're going to have a more confident, whether it be a buyer, a leasee, a renter. All of that is going to
Right.
make a difference. If they cleanliness is next to godliness. I mean, there's a reason that saying exists.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And there's probably more than one good reason why that phrase exists. So, you have worked with my team, MaidPro, and we've worked together on both move out cleans, residential, and then also in commercial situations.
Correct.
Could you tell us a little bit about your experience? I mean,
They've
what
been
stood out?
they've been great. I mean, so, well, like on one of the residentials, is the bathtub was in, pretty much, it was a dirty, grimy, and actually went in, and I was like, they're like, can we clean it? I'm like, you knock yourself out. And I came back and I was like, so what did you use exactly? So they did a really good job.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with, the level of, I mean, they exceeded what I was anticipating.
Good. Good.
And then from the commercial, that my client has been nothing but a complimentary of how
Yeah.
well you got in there. And that was actually the timing was perfect on that because that was over a holiday. So that
Sure.
was, but they were very happy. And, we ultimately did have that open house. And I mean, the place just looked I mean, from where they were
Yeah.
and where they are, it was a night and day. And I think you
Yeah.
guys helped give that big push. So
Yeah,
that
it
was a
was
good
really a
thing.
pleasure to help, I know you're talking about changing stories.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a wonderful, facility that really transformed itself,
correct.
because of a proper cleaning, and the restrooms in there were really heavily soiled because it
Right.
had been vacant for a long
Correct.
time,
That's
and
correct.
that's pretty common.
Yep.
We see that a lot. So, and most of the time, as you say, in this area, calcium and lime and rust is a common standard, and but it will clean most of
Yeah,
the time.
absolutely.
We'll be pretty successful about that. So, what what um
You were
what's
gonna
one piece? Yeah, what?
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, what's one piece of advice you'd give someone who is getting ready to list their property? Um,
Don't paint.
don't
Don't
paint.
paint.
Yeah,
Um, I know, and that's contrary to what most people. But I've owned property since I was 26. I've owned a lot of investment property, and I've been around real estate in one form or another since for I mean, really 22 plus years, and and a lot of people put effort in the wrong spot. And the reality is, if you do a good clean, whether it be the carpets and wash the walls down and really get some of the grease and grime out of there, that goes a lot farther than fresh paint and cheap new flooring. Uh,
sure.
and so bring things back to life before removing them, because whatever you remove, they're just going to turn around and remove again. So you're not really doing yourself a service by trying
That's
to.
true.
Yeah.
So I know I have worked with clients in the past who said, "Oh, tried to clean this. I just moved in here. We want to do some remodeling projects, but in the meantime, I wanted someone to come in and clean because I tried to clean this and I don't know how to clean it." And so we get in the property, and the house had not been cleaned before they purchased it. They purchased it in an as is situation.
Hmm.
And we get in there, and she looks over, and my staff member had already been working in the shower. It was a large, oversized walk in shower. It was beautiful tile, but it was dark. So obviously, all the hard water was
Sure.
visible.
For sure.
And so we were in there scrubbing, and she had it half cleaned. And she says, "Oh my gosh, I worked in there for 3 hours and I didn't make any progress." So having the right tools and the know how
Sure.
can make a big difference. But have you ever walked into a home where the homeowner said, "Oh, I've cleaned everything," and you went in and you were like, "Well, it could still use an extra layer or an extra day of cleaning." Have you ever noticed that? And how do you approach that with a client?
So especially in some of the older homes, now, today some of the different woods, and the really cabinets aren't even made of real wood anymore, but
Yeah,
real wood is porous by definition. And so it does take a little bit more elbow grease than amateurs. So that's why you hire the professionals, but what amateurs don't really get in there. But also on flooring, cleaning grout, like that's, a lot of people clean the tile, but the grout's where the dirt really hangs out. And cleaning those grout lines is a tedious task, but can absolutely make a bang for your buck. And again, most of the grout that is installed is sanded. So sanded grout, again, porous. And you don't realize all the little things that are getting into that grout that's causing odors, that's causing stains. And again, it just blends with your world. And then you clean when you're like, oh my gosh, I don't realize all that is that dirty. So it is those little things, like I said, baseboards, grout, that's the stuff that you're not focused on cleaning. What actually needs clean to really make the difference.
That, and you mentioned also the carpets for the
For
dogs.
sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
that makes a big difference,
Sure.
especially right around their doggy bowl or where their crate
Sure.
usually is. Those areas get heavily soiled.
That's
We've
correct.
noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you clean those areas up and or hire a professional company to do that,
Right.
and your home sale is going to go a little bit smoother for sure.
Absolutely. Well, and even in doorways, like, a lot of people don't realize just the amount of dirt and grime that will
Oh, yes.
that rest, at your thresholds. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's just you take that for granted, and
Yeah.
those are, in my mind, those are first impression items.
Absolutely. The doors, the light switch plates, anywhere.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have some amazing before and after photos on our Google page or in our social pages. If you want to look at some amazing before and after on just trim and woodwork, it's amazing. Just a little elbow grease, as they say, but you got to know what you're doing and where to look and how to do it.
Absolutely.
So you were going to say something earlier?
Oh, you were talking about what would somebody not know about me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Okay, cool. I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
Well, before I did that, I was going to ask you about what was it? Let's see. Oh, what you would have wished you had known when you first started in the business.
Oh, that. I have been in it for so long.
Yeah.
And it's changed so much. I'd still love helping people, but I was buying property before the '08 crisis, and when you get into real estate, I tell people the numbers are as much as important as the property itself, and most real estate issues are math problems along with real estate issues.
Oh, absolutely. So finding solutions is the key, right?
Yeah. So I do feel like, from my business model, I really get very creative in how to solve problems.
Yeah,
and that creativity. So, but it's I've been in it for so long. I don't know that I knew everything when I got in. So,
Yeah.
so I don't know what I would know. The question, what would I like to have known before? But I've been in it all my life.
You've
So
seen it all.
I have
You
seen
can't.
a lot. So I haven't seen it all, but I have seen a lot for sure.
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay. Well, we'll hold that for the next time, and then maybe you'll come up with something
yes,
that you didn't know and you wish you had.
yes,
Maybe it's some obscure code or something like that
Right.
for a house or commercial property. The next question is the one you brought up. I wanted to hear, what's the one thing about you that you would like people to know about?
So in college, so growing up as a child, my mom was from Pennsylvania. I was originally born in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania Dutch.
Pennsylvania Dutch, yes. And but I grew up in Missouri.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, go Chiefs. But
We have the same thing. I also grew up in the Midwest.
That's right.
Lived in St. Louis.
That's right. And so but my uncle was a commercial fisherman in Alaska.
Oh, wow.
And so the first summer of my first year in college, I decided that I wanted to go help him
Can fish?
work on an Alaska fishing boat. So I always tell people that I have actually done the world's deadliest job. So and I did it my freshman and my sophomore year. I went back. So
Wow.
It was, and then ultimately it set me up to get involved in real estate.
Is that right?
Yeah. So because you made lots of money. And,
Oh, gotcha.
And I had nothing to do with it. So then I just decided to put it in the stock market, and then I put it into real estate. So,
Okay.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history.
As they
Here
say.
we
So
are.
that's right. So,
That's amazing.
yeah.
I remember they were recruiting at a lot of the Midwestern campuses for employees. I remember seeing, come work in an Alaskan fishery.
Yeah.
So it was tempting, and I thought, oh no, it's too cold for me.
It was beautiful. It was,
Was it?
absolutely, yeah, because I did it in the summer, and
So the hours, it's like what, a 18-hour day?
it got up there. I mean, it was daylight. It was
Beautiful.
and Alaska really is still the last wilderness. I mean, it's beautiful up there, and
Yeah.
I can close my eyes and still see lots of images up there. It was gorgeous, and definitely glad to know that I spent a couple of summers in Alaska and
Yeah.
have lots of stories to tell from that.
So, Chris, if people want to look you up on the web, where should they find you?
You can Google Century 21 Tevas, and I'm an agent on that website.
Okay.
And then you can also just email me at
Yeah.
ChristopherMichaelProperties@gmail.com. So
Sweet.
property, yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, thank you for joining me today. It was lovely chatting with you. If you have any questions, you can obviously look him up on the web. And if you're looking for a good realtor, you can certainly reach out to Chris and he can sort you out. And again, if you need someone to help you with your cleaning services, you can find us on the web too at maidpro.com/Lake City. Thank you very much.